Okay, so I've been thinking about this way too much. Like, an unreasonable amount. Minions, The Rise of Gru, is a kids movie set in 1976 about tiny yellow guys who speak Minionese and their supervillain mini-boss Gru. And it does so much damage that I started wondering how much this would actually cost in real life. California's seen major catastrophic disasters, like the 1906 earthquake at $11 billion, and even fictional destruction, like Pacific Rim's kaiju battle, that would cost the state hundreds of billions of dollars. But nobody's ever bothered to price out what happens when supervillains and minions tear through the city for 90 minutes. So I'm pricing out every single thing that gets wrecked like a real insurance claim, every crushed car, every smashed storefront, every incident that would absolutely ruin someone's month. The running total starts at $0. Let's see how fast that changes. The first bill shows up immediately, like literally in the opening chase scene. Bell Bottom swings the van door shut on some guy's fingers and it's played for laughs. But you know what's not funny? Crushed fingers. That guy's going to urgent care. He's getting x-rays to make sure nothing's broken in a way that requires surgery, a splint, pain meds that actually work, and probably a few days off work because, surprise, you need your hands for basically everything. I looked this up, by the way. Finger x-rays run anywhere between $100 and $180 before you even factor in the actual visit. Urgent care with imaging can easily climb higher depending on what gets done. I'm being conservative here and calling it $600 total. The chase ends with 3 pursuing AVL sedans crashing into each other. Now, I'm not a car guy, but I still spent way too much time looking this up, and these look similar to a 1976 Dodge Coronet, which was the vehicle of choice for the California Highway Patrol back in those days. So, we're gonna go with that as our benchmark and price it at $4,297 MSRP. Here's where it gets annoying though. We need modern money, because nobody's paying a contractor in 1976 dollars. The rough conversion is that one 1976 dollar buys what about $5.70 buys today. So that's $12,891 for 3 sedans back then, which works out to roughly $73,479 to replace the 3 sedans in today's money. But wait, because it gets worse. The movie doesn't show you the part where someone has to come collect all this wreckage. Towing 3 massive hunks of destroyed Detroit iron off a public road isn't cheap. Neither is cleaning up all the fluids they've leaked, sweeping the debris, or managing the traffic backup that forms when people slow down to gawk. I'm penciling in $3,500 for cleanup, towing, and lost productivity due to the traffic disruption. That all adds up to $77,579. Next up is the cinema gas incident, where Gru and the Minions gas an entire movie theater to trigger an evacuation. Also, they can watch a film by themselves. Little over the top though, it isn't structural damage per se, but it is a business interruption, and those add up fast. In 1976, the average US movie ticket cost about $2.13. Today, that's roughly $12. Call it one packed auditorium with 200 people, and ticket refunds alone are about $2,428. Concessions add another $1,198 if we go with a conservative $5.99 per patron. On top of that, the theater has to clear out, ventilate the entire space, deep clean everything, and pay staff overtime while issuing refunds for a show that didn't finish. Commercial cleaning runs $25 to $50 per hour, and with a small crew, supplies, and the urgent response premium, I'm putting ventilation plus deep cleaning at $3,900. I'm also throwing in another $833 as staff overtime and lost revenue from the rest of that evening. So, the cinema incident comes out to a grand total of $8,359. Running total, $85,938. Then, Gru cheese raised 6 customers at an ice cream shop, turning them into, I don't know, cheese people? He steals their orders and the Minions drop a teddy bear into the tip jar, like that somehow makes it okay. Now this is small claims territory. Ruined clothes that now smell like aggressive dairy. Minor medical checks in case anyone's having an allergic reaction, or just panicking because they got turned into cheese. Lost tips, a brief disruption while the staff tries to figure out how to uncheese the situation, which I'm guessing isn't covered in the employee handbook. I'm bundling that whole nuisance stack at $570. Running total, $86,508. Now we hit the real street-level destruction sequence. The Vicious Six pursue right after Gru steals the Zodiac Stone. This is where the movie stops doing minor chaos and starts going big. They smash straight through the criminal records storefront while chasing him. Broken glazing, destroyed entry door, bent frames that definitely need replacing, and an emergency board up the same night, because you can't just leave a business wide open to the street and hope for the best. For a California storefront of that size, a realistic repair estimate for new glass, door work, and frame correction comes out to about $24,600. Then you add another $6,500 for interior cleanup, picking up all those glass shards, hauling debris, disposing of it properly. That puts the storefront damage at $31,100. Running total, $117,608. Then Stronghold flips two vehicles like they're bath toys. One's an RV, the other's a pickup truck. The pickup is easier to price. The 1976 era light duty truck in that class, adjusted to today's money, lands around $22,300 as clean total loss replacement. The RV is where it gets expensive. Even a modest 1970s motorhome becomes pricey once you treat it as a real insured vehicle that's been rolled and destroyed. Using a conservative mid-range estimate, the RV total loss comes in around $65,000. So just from those two flips, we add $87,300. Running total, $204,908. The chase gets nastier. Svengeance skates through a small window in an alley door, which sounds minor until you factor in that it's probably custom glass on the back door of some restaurant, plus labor and an emergency call-out. Call that $950 for door class replacement. Running total, $205,858. Then Stronghold just picks up a flower-painted hippie van. We do not see the driver escape, so presumably he is still inside, and throws it straight at Gru. The van looks to be something close to a Volkswagen Type 2, which had an MSRP of about $5,194 back then. With inflation, that's $29,606 today. Assuming that the person was still inside the vehicle when it got thrown, even with no death shown, the practical bill is still an ambulance ride, an ER workup, and imaging to make sure nothing's broken in a way that stays broken. A conservative medical bundle for that is $8,000. So that one costs $37,606. That one throw. Running total, $243,464. Then, Jean-Claude gets dragged along the asphalt and gouges the road surface. That means patching and cleanup. Not a full resurfacing project, but definitely more than a can of tar. I'm calling that $2,500. Running total, $245,964. Now, every scene like this generates practical response costs in real life. Towing and storage for all these vehicles, debris cleanup across the roadway, temporary lane blockage control, a short police response. The city and the tow companies don't work for free. I'm bundling that whole incident handling mess at $9,500. Running total, $255,464. Okay, so as the story progresses, Gru gets kidnapped by Wild Knuckles and taken to San Francisco, and the minions do something that would cause a real airport to go into full alarm mode for weeks. They steal pilot uniforms and hijack a commercial passenger aircraft. They taxi it across runways and grass patches, nearly crash into the control tower, and then take off. They somehow land safely at SFO while trying to avoid another flight on their radar. Even if nobody dies, that's still a cascading operational disaster. Airlines for America estimates that the average cost for aircraft block time at about $100.76 per minute. We're not doing a full FAA investigation timeline because then we'd be here all day, but we are doing the immediate practical costs. Emergency response, runway and taxiway inspection, delays and cancellations, rebookings, crew overtime, the ripple effect on other flights. I'm keeping it conservative and calling the airport disruption $141,140. Running total, $396,604. Then the minions arrive at Wild Knuckles' house and are spotted by his henchmen. The brick wall in the yard takes a hit when his henchmen break through, chasing the minions. A quick masonry repair and cleanup will do. Brick repair runs tens of dollars per square foot depending on scope. For what we see, I'm treating it as localized breach repair at $2,900. Running total, $399,504. Now, I'm sweeping up the minor Chinatown prelude damage as one bundle because it's all kinda the same vibe. The minions wreck cartons and crates near the entrance. During Master Chow's fight, fruit crates get smashed and produce spills everywhere. That's damaged goods plus street cleanup plus a brief obstruction. I'm putting all of that at $1,500. Running total, $401,004. Next, the Vicious Six literally rip off the entire roof of Gru's mom's house looking for him. Roof destruction is a headache. It's emergency tarp, water intrusion prevention, roof replacement, inspection, likely some interior mitigation, and short-term displacement while it's made safe. I'm carrying that at $21,000. Running total, $422,004. Moving on, the Vicious Six continue their demolition derby as they raze Wild Knuckles' home to the ground in an attempt to track down him and Gru. And after this scene, we're seeing millions of dollars in damage. You've got crews coming in to shore up anything still hanging, cutting away unsafe sections, then hauling and disposing of all the debris so the lot is actually legal to rebuild on. That cleanup alone is expensive. Even in basic homes, demo and removal commonly gets quoted around $5 to $15 per square foot as a starting range. And that steep, tight San Francisco hillside site, that pushes you towards the ugly end of that spectrum. But the cleanup is just the warm-up. The rebuild is where the real money lives. Building a home in San Francisco often runs around $600 to $800 per square foot, and Wild Knuckles' place isn't exactly a cookie-cutter ranch house. It's this tall, custom geometry structure with WK initials worked into the design, which means additional structural engineering and complexity stacked on top of the baseline costs. Because San Francisco building permit and plan review fees scale off project valuation, the more expensive the rebuild, the more the city-side fees climb with it. It's like they designed the system specifically to punish people who have nice things. Putting all of that together, I'm capping this whole disaster at $14 million total, which might still be conservative. Running total, $14,418,504. Now we arrive at the Chinatown finale.
Now this takes me back!
Instead of treating this sequence as one big blob of chaos, it makes more sense to break it out the way a real estimate would. First is the clock tower. Gru gets tied to the hands by the Vicious Six, and the mechanism keeps moving. Then later, after he's rescued, Gru breaks off one of the clock's hands and uses it to climb down. Now, you're talking fabrication of a custom hand, mechanical repair, facade patching where the mount points got stressed, and a safety closure while someone makes sure it won't drop hardware on pedestrians. Even the access gear, boom lifts and such, runs a few $100s a day before you pay crews. I'm carrying the clock tower at $400,000 as a realistic specialty repair in San Francisco number. Next is the street and pavement damage when the Vicious Six go kaiju sized. San Francisco Public Works puts the cost out very nicely. Simple surface sealing can be as little as $35,000 per block, standard grind and pave runs about $260,000 per block, and full reconstruction can hit $350,000 to $650,000 per block when you're rebuilding the street structure, not just the top layer. Since the movie shows damage concentrated to roughly a block or less and not a full structural collapse of the roadway, I'm calling this $175,000 for Chinatown street repairs. Third is architectural impacts. The movie gives you lots of hits without full collapses. Smashed facades, broken walls, scattered fire exposure from Bell Bottom's dragon breath. No building fully torches, but you still pay for masonry repair, exterior restoration, signage replacement, and whatever got cracked by shock and vibration. I'm putting facade and wall repair across multiple structures at $1.2 million. Fourth is parade and street vendor destruction. Chinatown's packed with major fire hazards. Lantern strings, fireworks, carts, stands, floats, props, stock, all crushed and torched. Major parade floats can run between $30,000 to $100,000 each to build. Vendor setups aren't free either, with both fees plus tents commonly reaching hundreds of dollars per stall before you count inventory. If several float-sized elements get wrecked and vendors lose their setup and goods, $600,000 is a decent estimate to go with. Fifth is emergency response and cleanup. There is visible fire and smoke. You've got mass crowd movement, AVL presence, ambulances, fire trucks, and a street full of debris. Even if nothing fully burns down, soot and smoke cleanup is still a paid service, and fire and smoke restoration is commonly priced by area, with per square foot ranges used as benchmarks in the industry. I'm splitting this into $400,000 for emergency surge and $350,000 for debris plus soot/smoke cleanup across the affected street frontage. Sixth is vehicles. The aftermath shows a pile of displaced vehicles, including at least one destroyed AVL minivan. Add towing, storage, removal, and even a handful of vehicles becomes a chunky line item. I'm carrying vehicle damage and handling at $150,000. The seventh is medical. Wild Knuckles is badly burned and taken to the hospital. Burns escalate costs fast and can land in the thousands per day range. And while the movie refuses to acknowledge the existence of paperwork, real hospitals do not. Keeping it conservative for non-fatal injury, I'm using $25,000. Eighth is the economic hit.
In terms of money, we have no money.
The film doesn't show it because it's not fun, but Chinatown clears out. Businesses shut down mid-event. Foot traffic doesn't instantly normalize. San Francisco's economy earns millions in revenue around the time of the Chinese New Year, so even a tiny slice of people avoided the area for a day or two becomes real money. I'm putting business interruption at $1.2 million. Finally, there's administrative friction. Inspections, expedited contractor premiums, permits, compliance sign-offs, claim handling, temporary fencing, all the overhead that appears when a high-profile incident forces everything into do-it-now mode. Soft costs are commonly 20 to 30% of hard costs. Instead of nickel and diming every form, I'm applying $1,519,217 as the administrative layer. And that's basically it. The Vicious Six are turned into rats, the stone is gone, Wild Knuckles fakes his own death, and Gru realizes his real power is the family he's built.
I don't have friends. I got family.
So when the dust settles, Minions: The Rise of Gru leaves California with an estimated $20,437,721 in real-world damage and knock-on costs. Now, that's not much when you compare it to actual catastrophes, but it's still a lot. But here's the question the movie never asks. Was any of it worth it? Every major character in this movie is a villain. Not heroes saving the day, not people making hard choices to protect others. Villains. All of this damage comes from their selfish escalation, their bad choices, their decision to throw down in the middle of dense neighborhoods because it looks cool. In the movie, the city recovers between scenes. In real life, the city recovers between invoices. So, if you lived there and opened your mailbox to find the tax increase notice, watched your insurance premium jump 40% for no reason you could control, walked past your favorite corner shop that's been closed for months with a repairs in progress sign, you'd probably ask just one question. Why did this have to happen here?